Wendigo, a mythological cannibalistic monster in the spiritual tradition of North American Algonquian-speaking tribes. It is associated with winter and described as either a fearsome beast that stalks and eats humans or as a spirit that possesses humans, causing them to turn into cannibals. There are many different spellings and pronunciations for Wendigo. In Ojibwe, the term is defined as a winter cannibal monster, but its name may derive from the Proto-Algonquian word Wintikawa, meaning owl. Some legends say the Wendigo is an emaciated figure with ashen flesh. Others describe it as a giant creature up to 15 feet, 4.5 meters, tall, or as a beast that grows larger the more it eats. It may have sunken or glowing eyes and sharp yellowed fangs and claws. Its lips are chewed or entirely missing because it has eaten them. It may be hairless or have fur, and it may have pointed ears and horns or antlers like a deer. It smells of rotting flesh and is usually first detected by humans by its horrible odor. Wendigos are believed to have exceptionally sharp eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell, as well as superior strength and speed in order to stalk and overpower their victims. They live in colder climates among the woodlands and lakes of Canada and the northern United States. They can move easily through deep snow and across ice. A shaman may be the only person who can subdue and destroy a Wendigo, using either a silver, steel, or iron bullet or a dagger. Some legends, however, claim the Wendigo's heart must be cut out and melted or burned in a fire before its spirit is truly vanquished. The Wendigo is sometimes described as a spirit rather than a physical presence. In Cree mythology, for example, the Wendigo is believed to be an evil spirit that possesses humans. The spirit enters a person by biting him or her or through a dream. The possessed person becomes cannibalistic or otherwise deranged or violent. Some people are believed to be more susceptible to becoming possessed by a Wendigo, including those who are greedy or gluttonous, as well as those who are suffering from hunger or starvation. A colloquial phrase for this experience is going Wendigo. The Wendigo legend exists in the oral history of North American tribes predating Europeans' arrival in North America. Some anthropologists believe the legend developed as a cautionary tale about the importance of community to guard against individual greed, selfishness, and isolation. The Wendigo was a personification of cold and hunger in a time when human survival relied on banding together and sharing resources, particularly during the long, harsh winters of the northern wilderness. The legend may also have served as a warning to children not to wander too far into the woods. The first known written mention of the Wendigo appears in a 1636 report by Paul Lejeune, a French Jesuit missionary living among the Algonquian people in what is now Quebec. Lejeune described a woman who warns of an Achan that had eaten some tribal members nearby and that would eat a great many more of them if he were not called elsewhere. A few instances of murder and cannibalism in North America were blamed on the Wendigo. These included a case in Alberta, Canada, 1879, where a Cree hunter and trapper named Swift Runner claimed a Wendigo spirit had entered his dreams and told him to eat his family. He was tried for murder, found guilty, and hanged for his crimes later that year. Another case occurred in 1907 among the Sandy Lake First Nation community in northern Ontario. The tribal shaman, Jack Fiddler, and his brother, Joseph Fiddler, were charged with the murder of Joseph's daughter-in-law, whom they had strangled to prevent her from becoming possessed by a Wendigo. After the brothers' arrest, Jack Fiddler escaped the police and strangled himself. And Joseph Fiddler died from tuberculosis in prison in 1909. By the early 20th century, the term Wendigo psychosis was being used by psychologists and missionaries to describe a culture-bound syndrome among Native and First Nations people whose symptoms included delusions of becoming possessed by an evil spirit, depression, violence, a compulsion for human flesh, and, in some cases, cannibalism. The syndrome was also diagnosed retroactively in historical cases of cannibalism in North America. However, the existence of the syndrome is disputed by some scientists. For centuries, indigenous artists and activists have drawn on the Wendigo legend both literally and metaphorically to address such issues as colonialism, violence, and environmental destruction. American writer Louise Erdrich's poem Wendigo, 1984, tells of a man trapped inside a Wendigo who abducts a young girl, who in turn releases his spirit. Her novel The Roundhouse, 2012, which centers on an Ojibwe boy in North Dakota seeking justice after his mother is raped, uses the Wendigo legend to explore views of retribution and justice among the boy's tribe versus those of the U.S. government. In the 21st century, activist Winona LaDuke coined the term Wendigo economics to criticize corporations' cannibalistic effect on Earth. Since the 19th century, the Wendigo legend has also captured the imagination of non-Indigenous authors. In The Wilderness Hunter, 1893, the future U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt includes a goblin story about a bear-like beast that stalks the camp of two hunters, leaving only one to survive and tell the tale. Readers have interpreted Roosevelt's beast as being either the legendary Bigfoot or a Wendigo. British writer Algernon Blackwood's novella The Wendigo, 1910, tells a similar story of a mysterious monster hunting a campsite in the Canadian wilderness, and American novelist Stephen King features a Wendigo in the horror story Pet Sematary, 1983. Canadian writer Margaret Atwood examines the Wendigo legend in Strange Things, The Malevolent North in Canadian Literature, 1995. A book of lectures on the imaginative landscape of Canadian literature. Wendigos have also found their way into the plots of television shows such as Hannibal, video games such as Until Dawn, and comic books, including The Incredible Hulk and Wolverine. A Wendigo character also appears in the action film The Lone Ranger, 2013, despite the plot's southwestern U.S. setting. In director Scott Cooper and producer Guillermo del Toro's Antlers, 2021, the Wendigo is a deer-like creature in a story that combines supernatural horror and generational trauma in a small-town setting. In the early 20th century, the term Wendigo found its way into the Western medical vocabulary. It was used by early psychiatrists to refer to a mental condition in which patients felt possessed by cannibalistic desires. Oblate missionary J.E. Sandin was the first to use the term in the 1920s while working in a Cree community in the western James Bay area. There he met a woman who claimed that she saw strangers who wanted to kill and devour her. Sandin referred to the woman's mental condition as a psychoneurosis, a mental or behavioral disorder characterized by depression and anxiety. Over time, the condition came to be known as the Wendigo psychosis. However, whether this is a real affliction is still a highly disputed discussion among the medical community.